Good morning, class 12 students. So, this is your subject physics, and today we will start the next chapter, that is chapter number 14, which is electronic devices, and this is lecture number 1 of your chapter number 14. So, in this chapter, most importantly, we will be studying about various types of semiconductors, okay, and we will see how conductivity is present in those semiconductors. Okay, so first of all, to start with, let me give you a brief review about conductors, insulators and semiconductors. Okay, so first of all, as you know, conductors are the devices which have a very high conductivity, and because conductivity and resistivity are inversely proportional to each other, so you can say conductors are the devices which have low resistivity as well. And for example, you know, metals are very good conductors. Okay, similarly, insulators are the materials or devices which have very low conductivity, or you can say which have very high resistivity. For example, plastic, rubber, all these materials are insulators. Okay, so the main topic that we will study in this chapter will be semiconductors. So first of all, semiconductors are those materials which have their conductivity and resistivity between that of conductors and insulators. That means semiconductors will be having their conductivity in between of that of conductors and insulators, and the very famous semiconductors are germanium, that is Ge, and silicon. Okay, so these are the some examples of semiconductors. Now let us consider two temperatures, that is 0 Kelvin and room temperature. So at 0 Kelvin, these semiconductors will behave as insulators, and why they are behaving as insulators, that I'll tell you later. Okay, and at room temperature, these semiconductors will behave as conductors. Reason for both of these I'll tell you in the further lecture. Okay, so this is about semiconductors. So this was the basic review of all these three materials. Now we will be studying all these three materials on the basis of band theory. Now the question is, what is this band theory? So first of all, let us take an overview of band theory. Okay, so in band theory, basically you will be having two bands. First will be valence band and second will be conduction band. Okay, now what is valence band? Valence band is a lower band of valence electrons. That is, valence band will be a lower band which will be having valence electrons. I will be drawing the diagram. Okay, and conduction band will be the upper band in which electrons are not present at 0 Kelvin. That is, we will be having two bands, valence band and conduction band. In the lower band, you will be having valence band, and the upper band will be called conduction band. In valence band, valence electrons will be present, but in conduction band, there will be no electrons present at 0 Kelvin. And one more thing, electrons are free to move in conduction band, but they are not free to move in valence band. Okay. Now look at a diagram. So this is your lower band, which is called valence band, and this is your upper band, which is called conduction band. Okay, now this valence band can be either partially filled or it can be completely filled with electrons. That is, valence band complete fill bhi ho sakta hai electrons se, or it can be partially filled as well. Now, if we talk about conduction band, it is either empty, as I told you, at 0 Kelvin, it will be completely empty, or it can be partially filled with electrons as well. Okay. And I hope all of you know what are valence electrons. The electrons that are present in outermost shell are called valence electrons. Right? So in valence band, there are valence electrons. Okay. So now the question is, if I am saying at 0 Kelvin, this conduction band is completely empty, then how can it be partially filled with electrons? So for that, to answer this question, let us study this term Eg. So as I have denoted here, this gap is called Eg, which is called energy band gap. So to define it, you can say, see, this is the highest level of valence band, and this is the lowest level of conduction band. So you can say separation between highest energy level of valence band and lowest energy level of conduction band is called energy band gap. One more thing, there is one electron. If I provide this electron this much energy, okay, so what will happen when you will provide the electrons this much energy, then this electron will jump from valence band to conduction band. So therefore you can define this energy like this also. So you can say minimum energy required by electron to go from valence band to conduction band is called energy band gap. Okay, so you can define this energy gap in two forms, this separation or the minimum energy required by this electron to move from valence band to conduction band, and these dotted lines are nothing but different energy levels of valence band. So this is the highest energy level of valence band and this is the lowest energy level of valence band. Okay, so based on all these, that is valence band, conduction band and energy gap, a band theory was postulated, and on this basis various materials, that is conductors, insulators as well as semiconductors were defined. So now after studying all these bands, let us study about different materials on the basis of this band theory. And before that, one more thing, as I told you, when you will provide this much energy to the electrons, they will move to conduction band, and as I told you, the electrons are free to move in conduction band. So when these electrons will jump here, they are free to move here, so that means this will give result to conduction. Okay, so according to band theory, you can say conduction means more electrons present in conduction band, that means they are free to move there and therefore conduction is possible. Okay, now if we define conductors, so conductors are those materials in which valence band and conduction band overlaps with each other. For example, this is your conduction band, right? This is your valence band. Now as you can see, they are overlapping with each other, and as I told you, there are always electrons present in valence band. So that means if it is overlapping with it, there will be electrons present in conduction band also. So that, and they are free to move in conduction band, that means it will always be conducting. So therefore it becomes a conductor because there are always free electrons present in this band diagram. Okay, so therefore you can say valence band and conduction band will overlap with each other in conductors. Now one more thing, can you tell me what is the energy gap here? Now energy gap is nothing but the separation between valence band and conduction band. As they are overlapping with each other, that means there is no separation. So you can say there is no energy gap between conduction band and valence band in conductors. Okay, so this was the definition of conductors on the basis of band theory. Okay, so now if we talk about insulators on the basis of again band theory, so insulators are those materials in which there is a very large energy gap between valence band and conduction band, and that energy gap is generally greater than 3 electron volts. So now what will happen? This is your valence band, this is your conduction band, and as you can see, there is a very large energy gap between them, which is greater than 3 electron volts. So in insulators, what happens? Valence band is filled, but conduction band is empty. Why? Because these electrons are not able to jump from valence band to conduction band because of very high energy gap. Again, I am repeating it. These electrons in valence band are not able to jump from valence band to conduction band because of very high energy gap present in insulators. So that means there will be no free electrons here, and no free electrons means the device is insulator. Okay, so in conductors, your valence band and conduction band will overlap with each other, but in insulators they will be having a very large gap between them, due to which there will be no free electrons and the device will become insulator. Okay, now let us study about semiconductors. So can you tell me what will happen between with semiconductors? In your conductors there was no gap. In your insulators there was a very large gap. So in semiconductors there will be a very small gap. So yes, semiconductors are the devices which have energy gap between valence band and conduction band, but that gap is very small, or you can say that gap is less than 3 electron volts. Okay, so now so this is your valence band, this is your conduction band, and this is your energy gap which is less than 3 electron volts. So this case which I have shown here is at 0 Kelvin, because see, at 0 Kelvin your valence band is filled but your conduction band is empty. Why? Because when the temperature is 0 Kelvin, the electrons cannot even cross this much small energy gap due to very less energy. Okay, so at 0 Kelvin electrons are not able to cross this small energy gap, therefore they are not able to reach this conduction band, therefore no free electrons, therefore your semiconductor will act as insulator at 0 Kelvin. So this is the reason which I told you earlier. So this is the reason for that, why at 0 Kelvin your semiconductors are behaving as insulators. Okay, but as you go on increasing the temperature, and if you reach at this room temperature, then what will happen? Due to the thermal motion of these electrons, they will be having energy. That energy, as soon as it becomes equal to this energy gap, they will jump from here to conduction band. That means you will be having some free electrons, and therefore at room temperature your semiconductor will start behaving as conductor. Okay, so remember this diagram I have drawn for 0 Kelvin. If you want to draw at room temperature, just show some electrons here as well. Okay, so this was the definition of all these three materials on the basis of band theory. Now we will be continuing with semiconductors more. Okay, so basically we will be studying two types of semiconductors: intrinsic semiconductors and extrinsic semiconductors. So intrinsic semiconductors are pure semiconductors, that is, they are free of any impurity in them. But if you talk about extrinsic semiconductors, they are impure semiconductors, that is, they have impurity in them. Now again, these extrinsic semiconductors are divided into two, that is N-type and P-type. Okay, so first of all we will be studying one by one of all these semiconductors. First of all intrinsic, then extrinsic, then N-type, as well as then P-type. Okay, so let us begin with the intrinsic semiconductors first. So as I told you, intrinsic semiconductors are the pure semiconductors which are free of any impurity. For example, germanium, silicon. Pure germanium or pure silicon are the examples of intrinsic semiconductors. Okay, so now we will again see how these intrinsic semiconductors are there and how conductivity is there. Okay, so for that, as you know, atomic number of silicon is 14 and atomic number of germanium is 32. So if you will write their electronic configuration, you will see that both of them have 4 valence electrons. Okay, so I'll make you understand by taking this germanium crystal. You can take silicon crystal as well. Okay, so remember both of these have 4 valence electrons. So this is our germanium crystal that I have drawn. So here I have taken 9 germanium atoms and I have shown how each atom makes a covalent bond with each other. Okay, so first of all look at this one, let's say. Okay, so as you can see it has 4 valence electrons, right? Now what happens, each germanium atom is having 4 valence electrons, and to complete their outermost orbit they need 4 more electrons. So what happens, each germanium atom will be forming a covalent bond with its adjacent germanium atoms. So as you can see for this one, it has 4 valence electrons of its and it has shared 4 electrons with the adjacent germanium atom. Therefore now in this crystal, each germanium atom is behaving such that its outermost shell is completely filled with 8 electrons. Okay, or if you talk about it on the basis of band theory, you can say at 0 Kelvin, if we say about this, that valence band is full but conduction band is empty, so this will be behaving as a insulator, because see, none of the electron is free to move, all the electrons are forming covalent bonds with each other, so therefore it is behaving as a insulator. Okay, so now if you increase the temperature and if you come to room temperature, then what will happen? Thermal vibrations of the atoms will start due to increase in temperature, due to which any one of the electron will leave this germanium crystal, or you can say will leave this germanium atom by breaking a covalent bond. For example, look at this diagram. I have not drawn this diagram completely again. I have just taken two germanium atoms to show you what is happening. So as you come to room temperature, thermal vibrations of atoms will start, due to which a covalent bond, this covalent bond will break and electron will become free to move. So now can you tell me, if electron has moved, then what will be created? A positive charge, or we can say if electron has moved, a hole is created instead of that, which is nothing but a positive charge. Okay, so as soon as this electron moves from here, a hole is created here. Now to understand this on the basis of band theory, you can say what has happened. A electron from valence band has gone to conduction band, where it is free to move, because now this electron is free to move in this crystal. So an electron from valence band has gone to conduction band, which is free to move here, and holes are created in valence band like this hole. Okay. So as you can clearly see, for one electron going, you have one hole present. So therefore you can say number of free electrons present in conduction band will be equal to number of holes present in valence band in intrinsic semiconductors. So therefore number of free electrons in conduction band will be equal to number of holes in valence band. So therefore you can say for intrinsic semiconductors, number density of electrons will be equal to number density of holes. By number density you mean number of electrons per unit volume or number of holes per unit volume. Okay, because they are always produced in equal number in intrinsic semiconductors, so therefore Ne will be equal to Nh will be equal to Ni, where Ni is nothing but number density of intrinsic carriers. Now what do you mean by intrinsic carriers? That is carriers of charge. So as I told you, for equal number of electrons, equal number of holes is produced. So electrons or holes both are equally responsible for carrying charge in intrinsic semiconductors. Okay, so if you want to calculate Ni square, that is nothing but NeNH, because NeNH is equal to Ni, so their product will give you Ni square. So this was all about intrinsic semiconductors. So you came to know about 2-3 points of intrinsic semiconductors. First, that they are pure semiconductors which do not have any impurity. Second, number density of electrons is equal to number density of holes in intrinsic semiconductors. And when a free electron is generated, whenever a covalent bond breaks, a free electron is generated, due to which a free electron is present in conduction band and a hole comes in valence band. Okay. Now, there were some limitations of this pure semiconductor, due to which extrinsic semiconductors, that is impure semiconductors, came into play. Okay, so now let us see what were the limitations of pure semiconductor. Okay, so because see, whenever a covalent bond will break, only then a free electron will be produced, right? That means to get many free electrons, a large number of bonds need to be broken. So therefore, due to which this becomes a low conductivity material. That is, a very large energy is required to get a large number of free electrons. So therefore, it is a low conductivity material. Second point is that, see, because number density of holes is always equal to number density of electrons. So if you want large number of conduction electrons only, that is not possible. So in this pure semiconductor, it is not possible to get large number of conduction electrons only or large number of holes only. Okay. And as you know, nothing in this nature is pure. Everything has some imperfections, so it is not possible to prepare a pure semiconductor. So this becomes again its limitation, that pure material cannot be prepared easily, or it is almost impossible to prepare any pure material, due to which intrinsic semiconductors have all these limitations. So therefore, the new type of semiconductors came into play, which were called extrinsic semiconductors. And we will be studying about extrinsic semiconductors in our next lecture.